Time now for the STOHD.com Diamond in the Rough, and it's Captain's pitcher Jeremy Johnson. STOHD.com's Tony Lastoria says the 13th round selection in the 09 draft out of Washington State has a 3-pitch mix, fastballs from 90 to 94. He's got a slider and a cutter as well. He's shown an ability to control the zone by limiting walks and piling up strikeouts. He's yet another nice depth option in the bullpen for the Indians and should continue to make his way up the ladder next season.
Well, as long as Jeremy continues to do what he needs to do in the bullpen, he is going to get an opportunity because the Indians are always going around looking for bullpen help, and he could be that guy that has a cutter and a slider.
Read more about Indians prospects every week on Minor Happenings on STOHD.com and also in Tony's book listing the 100 top Tribe prospects. And welcome back to the show. We have with us a man that knows plenty about the Lake County Captains and their pitching, director of broadcasting, and sometimes fill-in host here on Minor League Magazine, Craig Dees. Craig, good to see you.
It's good to see you, and nice to meet you today,
Nice to
Jason.
meet you, Craig.
Yeah, usually filling in for him. Now you finally get to meet. Let's talk about playoff tickets. Captains won the first half, so they're in, and they play ball in October.
Yeah, and tickets are on
September. I'm sorry,
it's September. Yeah, it's scaring me there for a little bit. But the tickets are on sale right now through the normal, captainsbaseball.com, the box office. You can call in. We start on the road on the 8th somewhere. More than if it ended today, we'd be going up to West Michigan to play them. We come home for the 9th and then the 10th if necessary. And then there's second round games. There's hopefully a third round as well. But and you can buy, and they're only $9 just like the regular season. And if you decide to make the commitment to buy the tickets for all 5 potential games, $5 a ticket.
Wow.
So
Great
for
deal.
$25,
you get all the playoffs.
yeah, and then obviously we'll if we have games that aren't played, then you can parlay those into tickets for next year. So it should be, we're looking forward to having playoff baseball back at Classic Park again. It's be the 3rd time in 8 years, so it's exciting.
Can't beat that.
You've had some great players come through the system so far this year. Devi Seed is just an awesome player right now. Talk a little bit about him and just let the fans that have not been able to see him understand what he's about.
Delvy's a kid that played last year, switch hitter, and did very well. Had a very nice season last year. This year he really struggled coming out of the gate. As a matter of fact, if you go back to the 1st of June, he was hitting 198. They scrapped this switch hitting thing. It just wasn't happening for Delvey. Now he's up to 257. He's got a ton of stolen bases. When he gets on, if he gets a walk or a single, it's a double. He's on second base. So really, since that time, he's hitting 322 and doing all the things. I think from Delvy's standpoint, still needs, as a guy that's going to be a top of the order guy, a guy that needs to really look at the strike zone a little bit better. He still strikes out a lot and doesn't walk as much as you would like, but he's just a kid, and he's coming along, and boy, totally different guy as just a right-handed hitter.
How about Adam Abraham? He's shown you some power this year in Eastlake.
Yeah, Adam Abraham's another interesting guy. He wasn't a guy that was going to play every day for us at the beginning of the year, and obviously Jeremy Tice gets promoted. Abraham plays first, he plays third, and actually last year did some catching. The middle of July, he's right at 200, hitting the ball hard all over the place, nothing to show for it. Now he's up to 259. For the month of July and August, hitting 306, 8 homers, 36 RBIs. And there's actually 2 home runs that aren't counted for because we had a game that got washed out. So he's really got 2 more home runs. But Adam Abraham's a guy that when he comes up to the plate every game, you're just expecting him to get a hit now. And I tell you what, as a third baseman, he can pick it at third base. Got a good, strong arm. He has really been a guy that has taken advantage of an opportunity that he got to get into the lineup. And I'm looking for big things for him. I really like him.
Now, you look at a player, an outfielder like Greg Fulgia, who's struggled early on in the season, kind of was up and down middle season, and now all of a sudden, the end of the season has really picked it up. What do you attribute that to, being a young player like that?
Well, it's the Delvey Sid factor. He was a switch hitter, now he's not. And they even asked him, why did you start switch hitting? Well, I thought it'd be better for me to switch hit, and he scrapped it, threw him back on the right side, and well, if you go back to the middle of July seems to be that time. He's hitting 196. Now he's hitting 250. And he's been our hottest hitter since. He's hitting 318 since then. And here's a guy, you see the play there in the outfield, but he's also a guy that's got a hose out in right field. You play him in left or right, people don't run on him. Or if they do, they don't do it again. So, I mean, he's a guy, again, getting consistent playing time. But something about that mental aspect of just concentrating on what you know best, batting right-handed, has helped both of those, Sid and Fulgia.
We go to the pitching staff, Craig. One of the guys that all of his numbers jump out at you except for the record because he's had some tough luck. But Brett Brock, ERA below 3, strikeouts to walk ratio is great. I think it's almost 4-1.
Yep.
I mean, this kid looks like he's turned into a real nice prospect.
He was on the road, and he saw a pitcher with a very similar makeup of him on the road. And there was something about the way this pitcher looked at home plate, never took his eyes off of home plate, and Brock kind of locked in on that. Since that time, he's given up 9 runs in his last 42 innings. He's a kid that has 6 starts, and his ERA in his last 6 starts is 192 since he saw the light, per se. But he also, through the first complete game 9-inning shutout in captain's history. We've had some pretty darn good pitchers come through, but he did it. A couple of pitches over the pitch count that he would normally be allowed, but they wanted to give him that opportunity. And he's another guy. You just look forward to seeing him get out there. He's a young kid, only 22 years old, and a guy that didn't start the season with us, a guy that joined us and just continues on with this pitching staff.
You've had a lot of moves this year. You've still been able to keep the core group together. But the closer that you have right now in Preston Guillemette, a very good pitcher that was a starter in college and now converted to a closer. What do you think his attributes are, better or worse as a closer or as a starter?
Well, I've seen him as in the setup role, the closing role. Right now what they're doing is they're actually distancing him out a little bit, where he's coming in and doing a lot of 3-inning stints now, which is really good. Helps the bullpen. He's still able to pick up some saves. But over his last 29 innings pitched, he struck out 34 and he's walked 6. He throws strikes. And I think that's one of the things that is very good for him. Against right-handed hitters, they're only hitting 191 against them. So, you know, Preston's another guy that joined us later in the season, who's walked into this pitching staff. And real quick, if I can give you some numbers, this pitching staff, with all the overturn we've had, 11 guys, still second in the league in walks, second in the league in strikeouts, second in the league in lowest ERA, second in the league in lowest amount of runs scored. You know, and the strikeout to walk ratio is more than 3 to 1. I mean, they throw strikes, they don't walk people. And that's been a key to the success, no matter who's out on the mound for this team.
Well, a few years ago, General Manager Mark Shapiro said that was going to be his big key, was getting good quality pitching in this organization. You see it now from the top to the bottom. Quickly, 3 guys that moved on did great for you and are doing great as they moved on. Tice, Chen, and also Greenwell. Outstanding in Lake County. A couple of these guys had a repeat this year, but then they move up to Kinston. And they're playing better than some of the guys that started the year at Kinston.
Yeah, and we see that at our level. We'll see guys repeat because, you know, Tice was hurt last year. So they wanted to get him in, play him every day, see how the injury held up. Bo was just a kid. I mean, he needed another year at our level. And then Chen's the first guy that we saw him for the first time, and I think he's blown everybody away this year. But those are 3 quality guys that night in and night out just put it together. Jeremy had his struggles at third. They've tried to play him a little bit at first base as well, but an RBI machine, and he's proven that again. And I think Bo's going to be a nice corner guy. And Chen, you know, as a guy that you called him a professional hitter earlier, I agree with that. And he's also a guy that is maturing behind home plate and has done a great job.
Craig, always great to talk to you. Thanks for stopping by, and good luck in the postseason.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Craig Dees joining us here from the Lake County Captain. Stay tuned. Coming up, a guy that was a former captain who's really making the rise through the system, and Jared Geddert. We'll get to know him a little bit closer when we come back. Keep it here with Indians Minor League Magazine.
Beautiful. 26, 36 feet.